Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
I am delighted to be here. Brian Nejma. We're kind of opening up the round 2 workshop tonight. There is a lot to go over tonight. I am really excited about where we are in the process. I would like to introduce you to our colleague on the organizing committee, Messiah alum, CEO of Hope International, dear friend of Messiah College, Peter Greer. So Peter's going to come and just share a few words, and then he's going to kind of be here doing some color commentary tonight at a special opportunity. So Peter, thanks for being here, my friend.
Thank you.
Saw Peter in church this morning, you know. Always helps when you make eye contact with somebody in church, you know. Like, Peter, yeah, so psyched for him to be here.
Well, the first thing is congratulations of all of the teams. The submissions were just fantastic, and congratulations for everyone that submitted, and congratulations to the folks that are going on to the next round. And this is going to be, I know we're all connected and in love, but there's a little bit of competition going on here, and I think this is going to sharpen all of you. So just a couple things. First is to say congratulations, really excited, and thank you for spending the amount of time that you have. Second thing is this is not just an opportunity for you to develop a business idea. This is not about a grade. This is not about extra credit. This is about something much bigger in my mind. This is about starting what I hope you all are at the ground floor of starting, is that Messiah College becomes known as a place for high impact, creative social entrepreneurship that is solving some of the world's biggest problems. What you are doing right now has the eyes of the school on you. And again, it's not just for the competition, but there are a lot of us who have been watching what's happening at Messiah College and believe that now is the time, and you are the generation, and entrepreneurship is the tool to see this group of people and the broader campus engaged in using more creativity to solve really big problems. And I am so excited. I believe we're going to look back on all of you and say, this is when the new chapter started, and you were a part of the new chapter of social entrepreneurship at Messiah College. And the last thing that I would say is one of the greatest gifts that this round that you're all going to receive is a gift of a mentor. We have Paul Steinweg, incredibly talented business professional, and 19 others that are going to be partnering with you. And please do not miss the opportunity to take advantage of that relationship, invest in that relationship as they're investing in you. I believe that no matter what happens at the April 28th, no matter what happens at the end, all of you are going to be given the gift of relationship, and you're going to be given the relationship with a really talented, driven mentor. And I think that's going to be one of the many gifts that you're going to get throughout this process. So with that, I'm just so thrilled to be here at Messiah College. And again, I think now is a really special time. And thank you for the work that you're doing. And let's have the fun begin here. Thanks, Brian.
Thank you, Peter. I thought I'd start off with just a kind of a biblical perspective. This summer I had the opportunity to study Joshua, and I'm sure many of you know the biblical story of Joshua, and I just love the storyline. But Joshua 1:19 says, "Be strong and courageous. Do not be terrified or discouraged, for the Lord your God will be with you wherever you go." I love that passage, and in my life as an entrepreneur, it's certainly a passage I clung to many times, because you're about to step into the journey of the unknown. You're excited, you're nervous, you're not sure, you have forks in the road, and these are wonderful times. So embrace it and see that God really wants to be there for you in the midst of it. We have a lot to cover tonight. Wow. It's sort of like a mini MBA. I know for a lot of you that don't have a business background, that can be a little intimidating, and we don't want that to be the case. So we're going to hand out your template to guide you for round 2. Round 2 is a 9-page document that you're going to use to kind of tell your story. And so we're going to take tonight to kind of talk you through that, and we're going to take 4 breaks throughout tonight just to pause and for you to dialogue amongst yourselves and with us, and just to have a conversation. So I want tonight to be as much of a conversation as it can, recognizing that I also need to give you, I think, the reference background you need so that as you look at that template, you have some sense of what we're asking for. Everybody with me? Okay? And this, the video and the template and the slides will all be up for you as well on the Impact Challenge site. So excited. I can't tell you how exciting it was to get 36 submissions to round one of the Impact Venture Challenge. Do you know we had a little over 2 weeks to market the event? So I want to really acknowledge Dan and Rebe, Dylan, Ebenezer, and Curtis for an incredible job of getting the word out. So I really mean, that's, and then to see the quality of what we got was so cool. I mean, it was really hard to figure out what 20 teams we were going to advance. And truthfully, we would love to have had a few more teams make it. But we kind of had a constraint on mentors and so on and so forth. So it kind of, got a little bit difficult to kind of manage. But, okay. So I want to say a few things about general feedback about round one. You all got, I hope by now, fairly personalized team feedback. We took a lot of time as an organizing committee, whether you advanced or not, to try to provide meaningful feedback. So I hope has everyone seen your feedback? Just put a show of hands up. Okay, so if anyone has not, please see any of the organizing committee folks by tonight, because that's critical in this journey, okay? Some of you need to add some people to your team. You only had one person. So the rules say you have to have 2 or more. By round 2, please have at least another person. Tough to be a solo entrepreneur, okay? So please add somebody. Oh my gosh, point 2, I can't emphasize enough. We have the pleasure of Professor Kathleen Johnston coming in at 8 o'clock to go over a little bit of the financial model you're to create. I believe that every team should look to bring on an accounting or finance major to your team for round 2. And if you don't know where to go to get that expertise, let us know and we will do our level best to facilitate that. It doesn't have to be a student. It can be someone practicing in the field. So you're still the lead of the team, but I think it's kind of critical that you add some of that expertise. Validation is the third point. Your first submission was your concept. And in your concept stage, you're really not validating, you're visioning, right? You're saying, man, this is the vision I have. That some of you have just great vision. In fact, a lot of you are just so excited about your visions. Now, to advance to round 3, we're going to want you to do as much validating that the idea you had is realizable. That the theory you had, the hypotheses you had, can be actualized, right? So I'm going to give you tonight a fair amount of ideas about how you might do that, all in the hope of strengthening your submission, because in turn, that increases the probability you're going to make it to round 3. So validation is key. If your round 2 submission simply looks like a 9-page expansion of your concept, and you didn't get out and talk to customers, and talk to your impact partners, I think that's going to come across. And I'm sort of saying, hey, please take the time to think about an engagement with the markets that you want to serve during round 2. And we'll come back to that. Some of you need to beef up your narratives a little bit. Sort of think about going to the writing center maybe even, okay? And think about your prose and your style and your diction. Some of it was a little difficult to actually unpack for us, believe it or not. So how you write is important. I think following the content outline that you have before you is going to be important. We're not prescribing the order, but the content that we're asking for should somehow be present in the document you submit. Okay, so it's not licensed to say, oh, I don't want to talk about this half of what they asked for. I'm going to emphasize these other things, because our assessment is going to be in part driven by how holistic your model is. Okay, so please sort of follow that. Viability is going to be critical in our mind. I mean, our ideal candidates that win the competition actually launch businesses. Right? Our hope is that we see 3+ more entrepreneurial teams launching whatever you're talking about in the next 6 to 12 months. So therefore, as a judge, as an assessor, one of my strong factors of consideration is, do I think this is going to happen? Are they driven by a profit motive so that they can have a sustainable impact? So some of you have a very strong impact story. I'm actually worried that you're ever going to make it to impact, because I just don't see a line, a path, what I call a path to profitability, right? And so our committee is very aware of this, and so I really want you to kind of think about that going forward. One of the committee members made an excellent point, and I want to amplify it here. He said, I like this idea, but their impact is indirect. They're taking profits and they're going to fund the nonprofit to do good things. I prefer to see that impact more integrated in the core mission of the social venture. And I think that's an important idea to unpack. So think about a more direct way that your mission and your venture can have social impact directly. Okay? The other form is kind of what we'll call passive impact. And I'm not saying it's bad, but we would prefer a more holistic approach. Okay? Fair to say? The organizing committee, did I do justice to that comment? You guys are okay with that? Okay, great. So the likelihood of profit, the likelihood of launch, and no, we've been public about how we're going to critique your business model, your viability, and your impact are what we're going to score you on. So you kind of know that, and if I were you guys, I would backtest my round 2 submission against that criteria. It's like a professor telling you ahead of time, here's how I'm going to grade you, and then for you to never look at that and do a submit. Why would you do that? Okay? Make sense? All right, so that's some kind of rapid feedback just on kind of what we saw. Making it to round 3. I can tell you it's going to be hard. And I'm excited about it being hard. All right, because this is, at the end of the day, a competition. And I had several mentors, not too competitive, but they said, I'm in it to win it. Make sure you tell my team, I'm in it to win it. Now, being a somewhat competitive guy, I kind of like that. I hope you guys kind of like that, right? They're in it to win it, all right? So I think the competition's going to be pretty fierce, I have to say. I wasn't sure. After I read the 36 plans, I said, game on. This is really going to be exciting. So I'm setting a high bar just to kind of get you guys excited. It's going to take some sacrifice. Spring break is coming up. And I don't know about what you guys are going to do. I'm not going to kind of peer into your private lives. But I think the winners of this competition and those that place are probably right now, like everything in life, going to count the cost. And you might already have your trip planned, but it doesn't mean you can't think about how you're going to maybe virtually look at the plan and do some advance of the plan during the week. I don't think you could probably afford to veg out for those 7 days and then come back and hope to kind of pull it off. I think that's probably a bridge too far. Okay, but your private life is your private life, as they say, right? Please do whatever you can to validate your idea. This is a great opportunity. Go talk to stakeholders and say, here's what we're thinking about. Is it real? Is it something they would engage with? Okay? Because we're going to have to ask, is this real? We're going to have to ask as a committee, is this real? Okay? Round 3 is going to be so cool. So a little teaser for round 3. You're going to have the video pitch you're going to have to do in advance, about 1 minute. You're going to have 5 minutes to tell your story before a live audience with a bunch of Q&A. So it's going to be a really exciting thing to be part of. I think some of you might invite a lot of people there. In fact, text to vote is going to be an option and an influence. So I'm pretty excited about that. It's going to be a lot of fun. Okay, so that's all sort of by way of background. We've talked about Impact Venture Challenge. I think it in numerous ways. There's one slide I want to show. There it is. Okay. All right, let's do a check-in. I've taken each name of a business that made it and a core idea. And this is also my way to see who's here. I saw the FaithLink guys represented, awesome. I saw the EMMS folks represented. I saw Mac Guitar, good. Afro Boost, don't see.
He's on his way.
You've heard from him, maybe? Okay, great, thank you. Brown bag. Saw it, yeah. Thank you, Hayden. Okay. WeWeb, Seltzen and Seltzen. No one vouches. Okay. All right. We'll follow up on that. Agathos. Am I saying the name right? Agathos. I beg your pardon. Agathos. Okay. Shoe company in Colombia, as I recall. Right. Good deal. Okay. Troyer. I saw Troyer Ancient Grains here. Great. Okay. Bantu Coffee. Awesome. Here in force. Good to see. Who am I missing? Accent Academy. Accent Academy, are you here? No. Okay. We'll check in there. Monde Cafe. Great. Thank you, guys. Hometown Hope. Hometown Hope. Craig, you here? Okay. We'll do a check-in with Craig. Who am I missing? Did I miss anybody? Oh, I'm sorry. What team are you guys on? Oh, my goodness. I know you're on here.
It's dark colored on the light.
Indeed you are. Not surd, but surf and serve, right? That's it? You guys are paying attention. Good stuff. Okay, so that's my sort of check-in. Make sure everybody's here. Oh, I beg your pardon. Are you on here?
Yes.
Oh, I see. Okay. I missed it. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Jack Pack's up there, JK.
Yeah, I know you are.
Yeah, it's even darker than surf.
It's darker, but you're here. I know. I see you right there. Yeah. Sorry. Ethan. Dump and run.
Yep.
Yes, you are there. You're right there. I should have done more with the color. Yes.
Prison doc.
You here?
Yeah.
Okay, great. Sorry, guys.
I don't see it.
Chris, you don't see it. I know you're on here. Candle. I know you're on here, Chris. Can't find it, but I trust me. I think you're on here.
Lower in the dark maroon.
Chris, here you are. Crazy color. Sorry, Chris. Yes. Bam Bam. You're on here, aren't you? Bam Bam. There you go. All right. Awesome. Thanks for spotting your names, guys. Good to check in. Okay, so we're going to go forward now. You kind of know the drill and where we are. You have April 1st is your deadline. Midnight Central Time, we're finding out, right? Are we still living in the Central Zone?
We're still living in the central zone.
Okay. So you're living in the Central Zone. You have 9 pages to cover the core contents of your plan and then an Appendix A of your financial model. Okay? So 9 pages plus your appendix. But you'll ship that all as one document. You'll do one upload of your plan, and that'll be your submission. And we're going to kind of go over that tonight and highlight some other things for you. Okay, your cover page, I'm not going to belabor, it's sort of there. One or two of you didn't actually have a cover page, please have a cover page because it kind of helps us just keep track of everything, okay? So that's a kind of a minor point. Okay, an executive summary. With each core idea, I'm giving you a phrase to take away. Because if you're like me, you remember phrases maybe more even than the detail. So this is the first thing that you're going to produce. Well, it's probably the last thing you're going to write. It's the first thing that a person's going to see that's evaluating your plan. So the executive summary is your door open, right? A good executive summary gets me excited to read it. A bad executive summary, I'm wondering, do you have clarity? Do you have vision? Do you have passion? Right? So you really want to write a compelling executive summary. We're going to talk more about that. But it's your door open or it's your door closed. Right? In the course of doing this work, I might get a couple hundred plans during the course of a year. I don't have a lot of time to do that much of review. So your executive summary has got to be on point and very, very clear. Who do you think the audience is for your executive summary? Anybody? Who are you writing for? Aaron, who are you writing for? For me. Well, who am I a persona of? Who am I representing to you?
Investors.
An investor. Okay, great. Yeah. Certainly you're writing for an investor, maybe as the center point of who you're writing for. Who else might you be writing for?
Consumers. The consumers.
Say,
Like just the judges, the consumers.
yeah, maybe somebody that's going to be potentially sort of a strategic partner buyer. Maybe, some sort of partner. Okay, so you might have a wide-ranging audience, and you need to think about that as you kind of consider your pros. What are they looking for? Here's what I look for. I want clarity, right? My graduate professor said if I had more time, I would have written a shorter book. When you take too long to make your point, you don't necessarily have clarity about what you're trying to say. So conciseness and clarity make every word count. I'm not looking for a summary of the plan. I'm looking for a summary of the business. Okay? So this isn't telling me about the 9 pages to follow. If I took that page alone and I got on an airplane, would I understand your core business and your core impact? That's what I mean by standalone. Right? So don't reference too much of the plan. Have that document, that exec summary, be really clear about the essence of your business, the essence of your impact venture. Very, very critical. Shouldn't be more than a page, just to be really clear. Right? You don't even have a page. You might have half a page to tell your story. So words really do kind of count. And I need to know, is this unique? Are the people, is the value proposition, is the partnership arrangement you have, is there something compelling and distinctive, boom, by just reading that summary? Okay? Enough for me to want to kind of read more. Write jargon free at a high school level. For some of you, that's going to be hard because the nature of what you're doing is sort of an engineering product or some software product. You still need to think hard about how do I write at a high school level. Okay? Good evening, Selson.
Hello.
Good evening, sir. Okay, so that's what your exec summary should be about, and your content's listed there. It's in your reference document. I'm not going to spend too much time on that. I wanted to kind of talk more about the essence of what you're trying to do in your executive summary. Remember, the summary point about your executive summary is it's a door opener. Okay? Questions about that? Anybody have any questions? Probably the last thing you should write. Okay, but just be sure you know it's not a summary of the plan, it's a summary of the business. Okay? Be clear. All right. Okay, let's move on to the second topic that you're going to cover in your plan. Might be among the most important things you do in your whole plan. Good evening, Professor Johnston. Thank you for coming. Okay, the second point we want to talk about is your business and impact market analysis. My catchphrase here is that markets give you focus. Markets give you focus. They let you target your marketing campaigns. They let you think about your product and service ideas. They give you focus. In a market in a world that's got so many competing things, markets let us say, this is what we do. Okay? So you're making a bet about an area you're focusing on. So please don't misunderstand. We're doing market analysis not to say just we understand the market, but more importantly, this is how we're going to position within that market we understand. Okay? Markets give us focus. Okay, so I said early on that markets are a group of customers that talk to one another. They go to the same trade shows. They go to the same conferences. They kind of act as a pack, if you will. We say markets act like a herd. Okay, they follow a few leaders and they kind of amass together in a group. So I talked about market segments. Why segment? Why should we segment the market? Why do we look at the demographic, sociographic, and other factors? Why segment?
So
Yeah.
channel our resources and our ideas in the right way.
Right. We want to segment in part so we can focus. Right? And that's what we kind of did in your early on draft. You kind of started looking at that, and we gave you 4 things to think about when you segment. We said think about geography, think about demographic, think about psychographic, and think about sociographic. We said just use those things to try to establish what markets you're going after. Okay? And I think we kind of pretty clearly laid that out. So in the end, you're looking for markets. You're looking for segments that are self-referencing groups of customers that you're going to interact with some value proposition. Okay? And some of you did a pretty good job in your concept overviews in this regard, and others of you, I think, sort of struggled with what a market was. So saying we're going to work with the homeless people, period, isn't a market. I mean, it is a market, but it's so broad that I don't quite know what you're focusing on. Okay? So you should, when you're done with your market analysis, be able to say, do I have a clear focus? Everybody with me? Okay, do I have a clear focus? So just what you're going to do is you're going to revise your target market hypothesis that was in your concept overview. And you're going to refine that thesis statement, and you're going to describe what your customer and your business market segment is and what problem you're addressing for that segment. This is a little bit of rehash of round one, but I think further clarifying. Right? So you're going to come with a hypothesis. Now you're going to do something different. Your hypothesis is going to be a refinement of your round one submission for both your, remember, your business market hypothesis and your impact market hypothesis. Everybody with me on those two things, right? We made that distinction in round one. I think you all have pretty good clarity about that. Okay? Now, you're also going to look at research and figure out how does research, validation research I do, inform my segments. This is the first time I'm going to talk about actual validation. In the marketing speak, we say we can either do primary market research or secondary market research. Secondary market research is that which we get on the web. There are articles, there are data sets about the market in general that apply to our particular storyline, and we reference them much like we would citations in a paper. That's secondary market research. And for a lot of you, you should use that data to kind of set the stage for your market. Some of you did a compelling job. Those of you, I'm thinking of one point in particular that's focusing on a certain part in central Pennsylvania and working with the disabled community, did a phenomenal job of getting statistics and telling me all about the shape of that community. Excellent job with secondary market research. Secondary market research isn't research you do, it's research you get from other people and you reference. Everybody with me on that? Okay. Primary market research is that which you do yourself. They might be interviews, focus groups, online surveys, any number of things. Okay, where you're sort of garnering data very specific to your situation. Okay, and it's really, really quite important. So you might start with secondary research and then hone in on primary market research once you get a general sense of what the big picture data is telling you. Messiah's library has phenomenal access to data resources for secondary market research. Go talk to any of the research librarians about what you're interested in. I'm very, very confident they'll have data for you. The Census Bureau has amazing data even at the zip code level. So that's another resource for you at various government websites. Final thing I want to say here, and then Aaron, I'll pick up your question. Qualtrics is an online survey tool that Messiah has access to, and as by nature of you participating in this competition, you have access to that as well. So if you want to do some sort of online research as a source of primary research, you can use Qualtrics, and Sue Smith at Messiah.edu is the person to contact about that. Okay, Aaron.
So the kind of the line being blurred between primary and secondary market research, if you're working or talking with somebody or corresponding, whatever, who is in charge of like large amounts of research, like on a macro level of the thing that you're pursuing.
Right.
Does that correspondence constitute as primary or secondary market research?
So it's a great question. The data that you're reading that they produce is secondary. When you do that one-on-one interview, and you might be asking questions very unique to your situation, I'd argue that that interview is primary market research. Okay? Good question. All right? Everybody with me? Okay, let's keep moving. Critical, especially on your impact side, is to do some level of stakeholder interviewing. Okay? Stakeholders are simply people and organizations that have a vested interest in the outcome of what you're proposing. So, who are some examples of business market stakeholders? Here they are. Obviously a customer, potential people on your team, employees, believe it or not, your competition, right? You learn a lot by talking to competition. Partners, channel partners are going to help you get the product to market. We're going to talk about that. The media, and even churches for some of you. Okay, that's on the business market side. On the impact market side, I'm going to argue something a little different. The individuals you're seeking to partner with certainly are part of that. The families, in some cases you're looking to partner with people that have disabilities and other issues going on where it's a family that might be people that you want to talk to about your venture. Or community-based organizations, those of you who have a vision for working with the homeless or those in public welfare and public assistance. Certainly those organizations as well. Advocacy groups, for every one of those at-risk populations you're interested in, there's probably an advocacy group. Phenomenal insights along the way. Government organizations, policymakers, foundations. There's a lot to unpack about who you might want to talk to. Okay, so I just want you to think about who would your stakeholders be, and then when you have that golden opportunity to talk to a stakeholder, what better validation than to say, I talked to the head of MHMR, mental health, mental retardation at Lancaster County, Lebanon County, about my vision and what we had an idea for, and here's the validation I got from them in this interview. Wow. That's going to speak pretty loud, right? So who are your stakeholders? Then, what are their needs or wants? Can you get clarity out of that interview? And what has been tried, you'd be not amazed. So many of these at-risk populations have had so many things that have been attempted to benefit them that haven't worked. You'd love to find out, well, what have you tried? What's worked? What hasn't worked? So you can learn. I hope for every one of you, your hypothesis changes from round 1 to round 2. Because that would show me you've learned, you've gotten informed about the market opportunity. That would be awesome. Okay? What is your approach? What are you outlining? What's your value proposition? How do they think about success? You'd be shocked that sometimes your definitions of, well, this is what impact would mean, from your vantage point, doesn't match the group that you're partnering with at all. So what does successful outcomes look like in their mind? What would it take for them to engage with your idea, and how can they partner with you? These would all be great questions to ask during your stakeholder interview. I'm not sure you're going to have time to do more than a few of these interviews. Some of you, it might have to be via Skype. It might even be over email, right? Get creative, okay? But I think you'll learn a lot by it. This piece I reference here is a great piece that guides you through stakeholder analysis and interviews and things like that I think will be pretty neat for you guys to see. Okay, so I want to pause, and we're going to give you guys some time to interact as a team, and we're going to kind of walk around for a few minutes. The question I wanted you to start thinking about is, what market research and stakeholder interviews make sense for you to do this round of the venture? Okay, have you given thought to who might we actually talk to? What primary research, what secondary research might we do? All right? Peter, anything before we break? Peter, comments? You're okay. Great, thanks. Okay, take a few minutes. We're going to just sort of mull around and see if you want to interact at all, okay? Okay, anyone want to make a summary comment or question about market analysis? No. Pretty clear what we're hoping to do? Okay? Every team is unique. It's kind of hard to prescribe a market analysis plan. Some of you have the ideas are so far ranging that I think all we can do is give you general ideas. I hope in the feedback we gave you, we were as more directed there where we felt like we could be. I think the organizing committee, we would say we try to be as directed as we could be where we thought there was particular aspects of your market analysis that you should consider.